I recall falling asleep around 2 in the morning today, and then naturally waking up around 3 in the morning. Around 6:15 in the morning, I had with my first cup of plain coffee half of the last regular square donut. That me and my dad recently got from the Salty Bread Pizza Cafe. Along with a slice of kuchen homemade by my dad's mom the other day. After my dad added some butter to that slice of kuchen. Then at 6:45 in the morning, I had with another slice of homemade kuchen. And still with my first cup of plain coffee for today. The other half of that last regular square donut after my dad said I could have it. Same for when I had what was left of the shrimp chips that I brought over from my mom's place some days ago, with sandwiches just like these. 3 in total, and a glass of whole milk, just like this one. It was around 2:15 p.m. when I had the shrimp chips, though there weren't that many left. At that time. I had the 3 sandwiches and that glass of whole milk. I recall having 2 full cups of plain coffee and a partial third cup that I recall being about a third of a cup. From roughly 6:15 in the morning to 9 in the morning, roughly. Today, like I have over the past few days, started feeling sluggish around noon. And felt more sluggish by about 1 p.m. And from roughly 1:30 p.m. But I started to feel less sluggish by 2 p.m. After looking outside, despite it being not very sunny for the sun being out, and the sky was gray and overcast. And it was either raining at the time, or at least it had rained earlier today. I did my usual 30-minute HIIT workout from 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. I recall using this glass to sip at tap water during most of the exercises. I mean, most of the 30-second breaks in between exercises. I would take a little sip of tap water, breathe by moving my chest, and hold my breath for a few seconds. Before breathing out through my nose, and I also breathed in through my nose. For all of the 30-second breaks, and I breathed moving my chest and held my breath for a few seconds. During at least some of the 30-second breaks between exercises and during all of the 60-second breaks between sets. My dad's mom made this meatloaf, and my dad prepared these sandwiches. I recall filling this glass up with tap water and drinking about a third of it during the last 2 of the 3 sets of that 30-minute HIIT workout. Then I went to the spare room at my dad's place, though it doesn't really look like a spare room anymore at this point. It kind of looks more like a second living room. I recall being there roughly from around 2:30 p.m. to an end time somewhere between 3:15 and 3:30 p.m. The most likely end time is somewhere in the middle of those two estimates. I recall going to bed today around 4:45 p.m. and possibly, most likely, falling asleep around 5 p.m. Here's where I am currently on the Moogle polystyrene drawing project. I recall primarily working on it today during the mid to late morning hours, primarily using these Sharpie markers, but I also used this one a little in order to finalize the shape of this foot before I used this Sharpie marker for the background at the bottom of the back side. I recall coloring in this area using this Sharpie marker, and I used these for what I have so far around this area. I also recall using this Sharpie marker a little in order to darken this strap to how it is on the front side to make it separate from the body of the Moogle on the back side, and I also finalized the exact shape of the Moogle's body on the back side. I also used this Sharpie marker a little, though that was just for either blending or filling in an air pocket within the block of polystyrene on the back side of the block. Here's where I am currently on Oceania. For the most part, at this time, I'm currently focusing on completing the main quests. The ones that are required in order to, essentially in order to unlock things, whether that be new tools, new crops, or more territory, more of the island. That's why I have these koalas and those fields of wheat. And it's also why I planted and harvested a bunch of fields of beans during the late morning to early afternoon hours. And I had to use some fertilizer as a result in order to be able to feed the koalas in time the first time. I didn't have to do that. I won't have to do that for the second time I feed the baby koalas.